Hello and welcome to the Unlucky Frog Gaming Podcast. You are joined by two of your usual hosts here. We have Ben Porter. How are we doing, Ben?
All good. Lots to talk about.
Yes. Yeah, we're going to dive right into all the stuff that's been revealed over the last week with Warhammer Fest Online. I'm Josh Hartley, by the way. Should have introduced myself before we did any of that. But yeah. How's other than tuning in each day for the reveals? How's your week been otherwise?
Yeah, it's been not bad. I went to Calder Glen Country Park Zoo on Wednesday with my with my little toddler son and my sisters and my mum, which was very nice.
Oh, lovely!
I think that's like the first sort of venue type place I've been to in a very long time.
Yeah.
But that was really nice. Really enjoyed that. And out with that, I have been painting some Space Hulk miniatures for Mr. Josh Hartley. And
yeah, they look awesome, man.
Yeah. We're getting there. I'm just finishing up the Marines, and we'll probably move on to the Nid shortly. And I entered my Jacob Bugmanson, the 11th model, into the miniature painting open, which the deadline for that closed just as of recording yesterday. It was the 7th of May. Deadline closed for that, so we'll see how we get on.
Good. Yeah, when do they judge that?
I think they're judging it over the weekend, and then I think they're going to have some community voting. But the format for this one's quite interesting because there's not going to be like one gold, silver, bronze for each category. The way that it's being judged is that if there are multiple entries that are deserving of a gold will be awarded to all of them.
Oh, right, okay. Yeah. That's neat.
Which is good, because apparently they've had over 1,000 entries. So
okay. Well, fingers crossed yours makes the cut. We'll report on that as and when that happens, though. So, yes, as Ben mentioned, we've got a ton of stuff to talk about.
What have you been
Apologies.
up to? What have you been doing?
Nothing. No, that's a lie. Last night I had Webcam Commander with the guys from Geekaboo, which was good fun. I won a couple of the games as well, which is always nice, with the deck that I built from scratch half an hour before we started.
Well, that's cool.
But
I don't play Magic myself, but from what I've seen on the Twitterverse, Commander has seen a surge in popularity throughout the lockdown. I'm pretty confident it's the most played format now, and because it can cover all sorts of intensities. Is that the right word? Like, basically, you can tailor, how bothered about winning. Sure, it can be as intense or as casual as you like. Right, it's sort of malleable.
There we go. Yeah. So you're much more succinct and clear in describing what I was trying to do there, Ben. It kind of ties in with a nerdy bureaucratic thing that I did last weekend, mind. So last weekend I've actually catalogued all my Magic the Gathering cards. Got them all listed. It's come to over 1,000 different cards now.
Yeah.
So
you've been playing that. Wow. You've been playing Magic for about 8 years, though, haven't you? So.
Oh yeah. I've been playing for a while, so this is built up over a long period of time. And it's interesting because each time I was checking, I wonder how much this card is worth, and it's interesting seeing like some of them are worth a lot more than I thought they would be. But I would say that it was an arduous task, but the reality is there's a part of my brain that actually really enjoys that sort of like I say, like bureaucratic logging. I find it somewhat therapeutic, which is I understand makes me weird, but I can still embrace it. Right?
I dare say that there's many of our listeners that probably empathize with you in that regard. It's not something I particularly enjoy, but I dare say that there are a lot of nerdy people who like organising their collections, be that books, miniatures, cards. So I don't think you're all that strange in this particular.
Not for that reason, anyway.
Yeah.
Right.
We do have a little bit of sad news to kick things off this week.
Yeah, of course. So you've probably seen the news that Richard Halliwell had passed away over the last week. Richard, for those who don't know, is a very important figure in the history of Games Workshop. He was the game designer for a number of their games. One of the most notable being Space Hulk, but his biggest contribution to the hobby is that he is one of the co-creators of the original Warhammer Fantasy Battle. So, huge figure in not just Games Workshop's history, but just in tabletop gaming.
A tremendous legacy.
His contributions there. Yeah. So, obviously, our thoughts are with his family and his friends, and he will no doubt be missed, and a great loss to the hobby as a whole.
Yeah, for sure.
They did a little obituary for him today, actually, for the last reveal stream for Warhammer Fest Online, which I thought was a nice touch.
Yeah, I thought so too.
Yeah. So, yes, on with the meat of the episode. Warhammer Fest Online has just finished. We are recording this a mere hour after the final reveal stream. So I think we're going to go through each day in chronological order, talk about what our thoughts about what was revealed, and then we'll sort of summarise at the end. So let's start with Monday. What was Monday's theme, Ben?
So Monday was all centred around Age of Sigmar. So everything that they revealed on the Monday, it was specific to the Age of Sigmar tabletop game. So things like Warhammer Underworlds, which is set in the Age of Sigmar universe, that was reserved for boxed games. So this is the sort of mainstay Games Workshop game, Age of Sigmar as we understand it, which is the sort of army versus army tabletop game. And there was nothing that we weren't expecting, really, in that it was we were seeing for the first time models that we kind of knew were coming out. So they showed off a whole load of new stuff for the Soulblight Gravelords, which is vampires in the Age of Sigmar, basically. Because although we've always had vampires in Age of Sigmar, they didn't really work as their own army type of thing. Like, you could have vampires in your army, or you could do a Legions of Nagash sort of undead soup thing. But this is Soulblight Gravelords is, if you like vampires, that this is your army. Loads of named characters.
Yeah, this was my personal favourite, joint personal favourite reveal for the whole week. Specifically, actually, and all of the named characters and all the character models they revealed looked really cool. There's some a pretty horrific, nightmarish looking vampire lord that's like part centaur bat, like part vampire.
Crazy looking. Yeah.
But to be honest, the models that I really enjoyed out of this range the most are the new direwolves. They look fantastic, and they're definitely due an upgrade. So, I'm definitely going to pick these guys up. I'm going to pick up the book first and just figure out what army I want to build with them. But in my head, I'm thinking vampires on zombie dragons, the new Blood Knights kit, and a load of beasts to go along with them. So the wolves, the fell bats, that sort of stuff, and have like a sort of undead hunting party for my army. So I'm looking forward to them coming out. I do, given what else has been revealed, I wonder when they're going to release all of that. If they're going to hold off on them, or if they're going to just release them before. Spoilers: new edition of Age of Sigmar. So
I think that
we'll watch this space.
I think that they'll still come out because they don't tend to slow down the release schedule for new editions coming out. If anything, what you tend to find is that an army book that's designed late in an edition of Age of Sigmar or 40k is designed with the new edition in mind. Like, it's sort of cross compatible, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I think that we'll see the Soulblight Gravelord book drop before the new edition, and if anything, it might provide some hints as to what we can expect in the new edition.
Yeah. So watch this space, guys. The second thing that they revealed on Monday is, we knew Kragnos was coming, this new character that they've created, and we saw his humongous-looking miniature revealed on Monday as well.
He's absolutely huge. If the army shots that we saw are anything to judge by, he looks as though he's similar in stature to the Mega Gargants that came out last year. Which is he's a big boy, and I think is quite fitting.
Shonker.
Quite fitting for a god of destruction, which I think he is. If the little bits of fluff.
And the god of earthquakes.
Yeah, god of earthquakes. He's got a very sort of ancient classical world feel to him, which I love. And as much as it's been cool seeing a lot of the gothic stuff that we knew and loved in the old world reappearing in Age of Sigmar, I'm really happy to see that they're not shying away from that sort of epic mythological high fantasy. Yeah.
So again, they never tend to reveal when they're planning to release these miniatures and books and the like. So we don't know when he's going to arrive just yet, but we'll keep our eyes peeled on that. Moving on to Tuesday, and I think we're both in agreement here. This Tuesday was probably the biggest letdown of the week.
Yeah, I think, to be honest, it was Sisters of Battle. If you haven't seen it yet, neither of us are really that enthusiastic about Sisters of Battle. But that being said, pretty much everything that they showed at this stream, we've already seen.
Yeah, with the exception of the new named character that they revealed, it was all stuff that we've seen before, and we knew that there was a new Sisters Codex coming. So it just felt a bit of a damp squib. Tuesday's reveal, and I know they split 40k over 2 days. I think they might have been better served just cramming it all into one day. I think we would have felt a lot better about it. But it would have been a longer stream than the rest of them if they had done that, for sure.
It would have been a longer stream, but really it would be a stream similar in length to the ones that they'd been doing up until this week, which lasted for about 45 minutes. So It was a bit of a strange
Yeah.
one.
The second 40k day was much better, and we'll get to that in good time. The third day, though, this is the only one I didn't actually tune in for, and this is the Black Library stream they did. Did you watch this one live, Ben?
No, I didn't. I just I caught up with the updates as they dropped on social media, but I didn't actually watch it.
Yeah. I think the only new models that they revealed on this day were a new kit for Gaunt's Ghosts for Imperial Guard, which is a nice touch. They're iconic characters in the 40k universe, so nice that their models are getting an update and that people can get their hands on them again. But otherwise, I'm not a big reader of like Black Library novels, so it wasn't something that I was paying particular attention to.
I do read Black Library novels, but it tends to be Warhammer Fantasy and Age of Sigmar, of which there was zero at this stream, so nothing really for me to get excited about here either, to be honest.
Yeah, a bit weird that it was just like 40k stuff. I kind of expected them to reveal some, like, at least a tie-in novel for the new edition of Age of Sigmar, which they will inevitably do. They always do it. But yeah, a bit weird, that one. Thursday was all about boxed games. So I really liked, even though I don't think I'll be picking up any of these kits, but they all looked really, really great. And shall we start with the one I think that has been memed the most this week?
Probably the single reveal that's had the biggest buzz, I think, has been the new Ideneth Deepkin warband for Warhammer Underworlds. Elathane's Soul Raid. I think it's Elathane.
Yeah, so really neat models. The leader looks really cool, and he's got like a little eel slinking around his back as well. But the model that everyone's going nuts for is there's a crab. We've got crabs in Warhammer now.
A giant crab, I might add. It's not just like a little.
It was a giant. Yeah. Well, it's not humongous though. It's on like a regular infantry base.
As crabs go, it's giant.
It's a yeah. If I ran into one in real life, I'd be like, damn, that's a big crab.
Yeah.
But it's not like towering over everything else. But the internet has accepted Krabby into their hearts and minds.
I don't think they've done a bad Deepkin model. Everything from that range just looks phenomenal, and these guys are no exception.
Deepkin and just Warhammer Underworlds in general, right? Like every single warband for that. And they've been doing that now for, this is its fourth year, its fourth iteration, and every single kit in it is fantastic. So, good to see them keeping that up.
I think I might actually pick these guys up just to paint.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of people who will be in that same boat. I definitely want to get hold of the vampires, but they're out of stock pretty much everywhere at the moment.
Yep.
But I'll get there. I'm just going to be patient. It will, my time will come. So, the other reveals on the Boxed Games day, we had a pretty big reveal for Necromunda. Some new stuff for House Delac, a new book for them, and some neat new models. I was really impressed with these. Again, Necromunda is a model range. There's not been a single week entry that they've put out for it, unless you can, unless you've got any ideas for ones that haven't lived up to expectations.
Well, I mean, I've said to you before that I don't feel particularly invested in Warhammer 40,000 as a universe, and to be honest, there's not a lot in it that appeals to me. But the the setting of Necromunda and the overall aesthetic, I really love. Really like it.
I don't think you are by no means alone in that. I've heard a lot of people say, like, actually, Warhammer 40,000 as a setting, it gets a lot more interesting the further away from Space Marines you get. So, and people love Necromunda. So the miniatures that they revealed, we got some like close combat specialists for the House Delac. We've got a guy who's like a spy master, and he's got like this sort of robotic snake that he's wielding, and the snake actually has its own miniature bursting through like the floor panels, and the really cool. I don't know quite how to describe it. It's sort of like it looks. Do you remember in the Matrix when they're in the real world rather than in the Matrix, the machines that fly through the world and hunt down the humans? It kind of looks a bit like that. It's really cool though.
It's got a very Lovecraftian vibe to it, which I think feels very old Warhammer 40k. And I think I recall in the interview that they did in the stream that they actually like dredged through the vault of all the old Warhammer literature and art to find a lot of material and inspiration for Necromunda, and you definitely see it with these guys. They're really great models.
On a related note, Ben and I are going to tentatively take our first steps into Necromunda soon as well, right?
I think I'll actually be rocking Delac, at least for the beginning anyway.
Yeah. So we've got the new starter kit that's imminently getting released. That is on its way. So you're gonna take House Delac, and I'm gonna create my Escher gang, Susie and the Banshees. So we'll the theme for my naming theme is gonna be like all female rockers. So we'll have Susie, we'll have Courtney Love, we'll have Yoko Ono, we'll have and many others. So yeah, I'm looking forward to getting stuck into that, and we'll share with the listeners how we got on. And unless I am missing anything, the last thing to talk about from the specialist, the boxed games reveal day, is a new edition of Aeronautica Imperialis. We're getting a new starter kit for it, which is going to be Space Marines versus Craftworld Eldar. And they kind of trolled everyone by saying, you're getting a plastic Thunderhawk. But it's for Imperialis. I'm not interested at all in Aeronautica, if I'm being completely honest. These models look fine, and I'm sure like people who are into it will be somewhat excited for this getting a bit more love and a bit of an expansion. I mean, what are your thoughts on them?
I was talking to Rob from Full Hammer while I was watching this stream, and my response was, well, at least the three guys that play Aeronautica Imperialis have got something to be excited about. I mean, like you say, they look fine. I don't know anyone that plays this game, and I'm not particularly interested in it myself.
No. So that wraps up the boxed games day. That was for the reveals. We now move on to the second 40k reveal day. Much stronger than the first one. I think we agree, right?
This is the first 40k reveal that I've seen where I was properly excited. I think that I might go out and be first in line to get this set when it drops.
So what they've revealed, and they've shown off some little tidbits previously, but we've got the new Beast Snagger Orcs range coming out. and they are going to come out with a big new army box as well, where you can get, I think it's 20 Beastnagger boys. You get the, I forget what they're called now, but the Squig Cavalry that are in the Beastnaggers. You get a war boss that's riding one of these squigs as well. And you get the named character whose name has escaped from me, but it's a callback to 2nd edition,
He's
which
called
is really neat.
Zodgrod Wartsnagger.
Yeah, there we go. These guys look so cool, though. I think you've spoken previously how you feel like what 40k could use with is that element of science fiction, which is sort of like feral worlds and like sort of a low tech sort of faction. Yeah. And while obviously this is going to fit into an existing faction in 40k, I think this is why you. Correct me if I'm wrong and I'm putting words in your mouth, but this seems to me why you're particularly excited about these boys.
Yeah, I'm not really a fan of like super techy high sci-fi, and there's a lot of that in 40k. Like a lot guys covered in cables and cybernetic limbs and all that. So, yeah. I mean, I love orcs. I don't know anyone that dislikes orcs, and the fact that you've got these guys running about fighting super soldiers and battery powered marble on the backs of these half shark, half pig monster things with spears that they've made themselves. I love it. They just look, and for a painter as well. I'm big on my painting. I can't wait to get my hands on them because there's a lot you could do with these guys.
They also revealed, not part of the Beastnaggers range, but a new model that they're doing. So they're finally doing a model for a war boss in Mega Armor, and this guy looks so cool. He's got like a little Gretchen gunner on a turret on top of him, which I think was a really neat touch. But yeah, he looks awesome as well.
I think they did say, correct me if I'm wrong here, Josh, I think they did say in the stream that this is only a portion of a new orc range that's coming out.
Oh, I missed that bit. Maybe we will get new boys after all.
Possibly.
Oh, fingers crossed. Then the boys kit needs it. But I love the orcs in general. It's not an army that I collect, but I'm super stoked to see these across the table from me. So,
we were talking about them earlier, and I was saying I've already got some ideas brewing for what I want to do with mine. So.
Yeah, nice. And some other reveals on this day. We got a reveal for an upgrade kit for the Cadian Guardsman. Basically, I think it's addressing a criticism of certainly the 40k line, with it being a lot of older kits. It's not particularly diverse.
No.
We've seen that the Games Workshop are consciously making their new models more inclusive. We've seen it in Age of Sigmar. We've seen it in Necromunda. But the fact of the matter is, 40k as a setting tends to be a bit of a sausage fest.
Yeah.
So we've got some head swaps and some arm swaps for the Cadian kit, which is going to, expand on the diversity of that, which is nice to see. A new kit entirely would have been preferable, but this is a welcome addition nonetheless. And it's definitely, Imperial Guard should be the place where they expand on this stuff, right? Because the Imperium don't care who they recruit. It should have all walks of life within the army, right?
I think so. There's no reason that this shouldn't be, an absolute hodgepodge of different races, genders, all of that sort of thing. Because as you say, they're all just cannon fodder to the Imperium. But in many ways, I'm quite partial to the sort of underdog type factions. You know, the poor souls that are facing all the horrors that these universes have to throw at them.
Yeah.
They're probably the most relatable in many respects, I think.
Well, similarly to what we were saying with regards to the fiction, the Imperial Guard are a lot more relatable than any Space Marines, right?
It's why, if you've ever read a novel about Space Marines, there's almost always like a pleb level human character in it, because it's very difficult to make an 8-foot super soldier who's been completely dehumanized relatable or interesting.
Yeah, exactly. So the guard kit was definitely welcome, and the last little snippet that they teased was a short video. This is going to be another box set that they're going to bring out of 2 armies, and it looks like we're going to get like Grey Knights versus Tzeentch. Whether that means we'll be getting codices for I don't know whether it will be Tzeentch Demons or if it will be Thousand Suns. I don't think they showed, like, the image had any Rubric Marines in there, but there was definitely what looked like a Zangor, right?
I think there was a Rubric Marine right at the end when you had the 2 guys facing each other.
Okay.
So I think
Nice.
I think specifically, I think it's either going to be. I mean, forgive me, I'm not too sure how they work. It's either going to be Thousand Suns or it's going to be, you know, an alliance of various Tzeentchy things, you know, with the Zangors and the demons and such. A Tzeentchian incursion, if you will.
Yeah. I don't collect either of them. I won't be picking it up, but, you know, they're cool factions. It's certainly a matchup that makes sense because they're 2 factions that really care about psychic shenanigans. So, it'd be nice to have like a sort of spell sling off with those 2 guys.
Spell off, yeah.
Yeah. So that wraps it up for the second 40k day, which brings us to the big secret, or not so secret reveal. Because I think, was anyone surprised that it was Age of Sigmar 3rd edition?
I mean, they probably haven't been paying attention if they were surprised, but I mean, if you like Age of Sigmar and were surprised by it, it must have been nice, you know?
Yeah. So the stream today, which happened just before we were recording, they showed off a couple of new miniatures for Stormcast Eternals, and basically confirmed that Stormcast are going to feature in the box set that releases alongside 3rd edition, to no one's surprise. The first one is a new named character, very impressive model.
Yes.
What was her name again?
Her name is Indrasta, the Celestial Spear. What's particularly interesting, I mean, stunning model, first of all, but I thought what was quite interesting is she wears like a very pale gold armour that is not, as far as I remember, associated with a particular storm host. And they did say in the stream that she will fight alongside the Anvils of the Elden Hammer, the Celestial Vindicators, blah blah blah. So she's not bound to a specific sub-faction. She is like a leader character for all Stormcast. She's almost like a sort of Celestant Prime 2.0, if you remember that guy, Josh. He came out in the 1st edition.
I do, yeah.
The big angel with the Galmaraz, which is Sigmar's hammer. But nice again to see a female character front and centre.
She features on the art of the rulebook as well, like diving head first into some chaos stuff. But no, she looks neat, and we also saw a new troop type for the Stormcast Eternals as well. Very, as you pointed out, very Greco-Roman. which they've always looked a bit like that, but I think they're really leaning into it now.
Yeah, so as you say, Stormcast have always been very Greco-Roman, and that is it's still there, and they've turned it up to 11. They've got a they look more like Greek hoplites now. I don't know if you really see that, with the rounded shields, the spears, and
no, definitely,
yeah,
definitely. I can that specifically is what came to mind for me.
Which I love. That's right up my street as a sort of classical history nerd and a fantasy nerd. It's ticking a lot of boxes for me. But I think, I know you don't like. Not that you don't like Stormcast, but you're not particularly interested in them. But do you not think that they're pushing them more towards a sort of true scale? The proportions of these Stormcast look quite different from what we've seen so far. I felt
they're definitely a lot less chunky than previous iterations, right?
Yeah.
Which is interesting. It's not a faction that I'm interested in, so I'd be lying to say like, oh, this got me really excited. I think my one criticism of this particular reveal was I wish they had actually confirmed what the other faction in the box was going to be, because I think that would be what I would be clinging on to, and like that would be the thing that would be getting me. Let's get a 3rd edition.
You're always quite partial really to a bad guy, though. Certainly with fantasy,
I do like playing my villains. So we'll speculate on what the second faction will be, because they did show a little teaser for that. But no, I have to say they are impressive miniatures. What they've revealed for the Stormcast. It's not like they're bad miniatures. It's just that as a faction, they don't really do much for me. Is the thing.
We were saying before we started recording, this is a classic example of personal versus general criticism, right? Is that you can still acknowledge that like a model looks good or is well made, and still say, oh, it's not my bag. Like for me, this week, Gaunt's Ghosts, really good looking models, but it's they're not my thing. So
yeah, exactly. It doesn't scratch that itch for you. So I think the final Stormcast model that they revealed was looks like a heavy infantry type unit, humongous shield and hammer in hand. What were these guys called again?
These guys are called Annihilators, I believe. So these are the new version of the Paladins, and in Stormcast Eternal armies, the Paladins are like the heavy elite shock troops, and this guy is thick. He is built like a bear. So it does feel. I think that it's probably a fair criticism to say that in previous iterations of the Stormcast, if you were not all that familiar with Warhammer, you could look across at a Stormcast army and really be struggling to pick out what was what, because they all do look quite similar to one another. But if you compare the Vindictor, which is the new sort of hoplite looking Stormcast model, with the Annihilator, they have a lot of similar design motifs. They do look like they belong in the same faction, but they are strikingly different now. In many respects, which is great design. Because as a collector and painter, it means you've got something similar to what you like, but different enough that you're not going to be feeling like you're painting loads of the same thing. And on the tabletop, you can immediately pick them out as different. Their silhouette is completely different.
Yeah, exactly. And we haven't mentioned, but in all the streams they've had a short interview with someone from the design studio, talking about whatever the main topic of that of that reveal is. in fairness, most of those interviews haven't been all that insightful because it was the designer was just saying stuff that the two hosts, Eric Eccles and Adam Thorpe, have. Sorry, it's not Adam Thorpe. Who's the other presenter for the streams? What's his name?
Adam Troke.
Adam Troke. There we go. Yeah, up until this one, actually, because we had 3 different people involved in the design of Age of Sigmar. We had Phil Kelly, and damn, I should have checked names before we started recording.
Phil Kelly, Jez Bickham, and Ben Johnson.
There we go. And they did talk. They talked a lot about some of the things rules-wise that we can expect from Age of Sigmar 3rd edition. And one cold shot that we've got right is that the double turn is still going to be a thing. They specifically said they want to keep that in place, which I think is a good thing. I know people moan about it, but get good.
Yeah.
Get good, guys.
Right, because it's a lot... I do think that the conversation surrounding the double turn in Age of Sigmar is very much a vocal minority. Because I've seen a number of polls people have conducted and people do vote overwhelmingly in favour of keeping the double turn. And I think that because the main criticism people have about the double turn is that it makes the game too random or too luck based. And if you actually look at Age of Sigmar tournament statistics, it tends to be the same sort of people that are top performers, which would suggest that the stuff about it being luck based is a lot of rubbish.
Absolutely, yeah. I like it. The thing is, it makes it feel distinct from other tabletop miniatures games, and I think we can both agree, right? One of the worst things that Games Workshop could do would be to turn Age of Sigmar into just Warhammer 40k, but in a fantasy setting, or indeed vice versa, having 40k just be Age of Sigmar in science fiction. You know, it's nice that they are very different games, not just in the the fluff and the lore, but in terms of how those games play as well, right?
I think one of the worst things that a lot of companies and creatives can often do is listen to the fans or give the fans what they say they want, because it's true. It's true. Because the fact, I mean, the classic phrase that comes to mind for me is a camel is a horse designed by a committee.
Wow, throwing shade on camels, Ben. Apologies to any camels listening for that hurtful comment.
Yeah, Alice the camel, it's a wee tear rolled down her cheek.
Yeah. Bless. But yeah, you're right. Like, it's good to listen to feedback, but you shouldn't be beholden entirely to what the community says, because invariably, if you made a change like that, they're just going to complain about it anyway. So design the game you want to design.
But I'm really excited for the coming edition, and I suppose we're now at the point where we do a bit of speculation, aren't we?
Well, the last thing they teased was what the second faction was going to be, and it was a kind of creepy little nursery rhyme about soldiers getting picked off in a sort of wooded bog. And they specifically said that it's a new type of evil faction. What do we think that might be?
I think, first of all, I think it's going to be destruction, because
yes,
Kragnos has arrived. Destruction have their first big deity character. I think we can safely say that they are going to be the evil poster boys of the new edition.
Yeah. They also said actually this edition is very much going to be focused on the realm of beasts, which we haven't seen too much of up until now, with the exception of Beastgrave and Diachasm are set in the realm of beasts.
Yeah.
But so nice to flesh this part of the universe out. But yeah, equally because of that, it would make sense if it's a destruction faction, right?
I think so, because if you remember, we had Malign Portents was what led up to the second edition of Age of Sigmar, and that was all about Nagash and the forces of death amassing. And Broken Realm seems to be pointing to a big dust up in Excelsis, which is like the big city in the realm of beasts. So, all roads are leading to Gur. So I think it will be a destruction faction. I think specifically it will involve the femur,
which will be a nice curveball for them to throw. We haven't. They're one of the old fan favourites for way back when in the 80s. Forge World did some models for them, which unfortunately I don't think are any. I think they're no longer available. So it'd be nice for them to get some plastic kits and flesh that faction out a bit.
It would also, to me, it would, because some people have suggested it being like Grots and Skaven. I think that it's probably going to be a brand new faction, because if Destruction are going to be the poster boys of the new edition, they need to get a bit more love, I think, and it would make sense that that would be something like the femur. It also, like with the nursery rhyme, it suggested that it was going to be a faction that's a bit more sneaky and insidious, which is very much the femur. And in the old world, they tended to congregate around bogs and marshes, and they would either they would have spellcasters that could cause like fog, things like that, to appear to confuse their enemies. So if I was a betting man, my money would be on it being a faction that at least includes the femur in some capacity. It might be one of these factions where they have like a few races we don't know, or a few different castes. But I think it's a safe bet to say it will be destruction rather than chaos or death.
So we'll watch this space, and we'll wait to find out more. So what did you overall? What did you think of how they handled Warhammer Fest Online?
Okay, I don't think that it had to be dragged out over a week. I don't know
that's absolutely the same for me.
And I think it's another example of some of the weird decisions they've been making recently, particularly with regards to the Warhammer community stuff. They seem to just love making a rod for their own back. Because when you say that you have enough content to fill a week, that sets expectations very high.
Well, I mean, because we kind of said it on the very first reveal. So, what these reveal streams have previously been, they've previously been an hour long, which is not what
we're close to it.
These were. And not like after watching the first one on Monday, I think both of us just went, "What, is that it?" No, I agree with that criticism. I think they might have been better served just having maybe 3 of them, putting it over a space of 3 days. I think that might have got people a bit more excited.
Well, if Warhammer Fest had properly been on, this stuff would have been revealed over 2 days, possibly even 1, actually, because as far as I remember, like generally with Warhammer Fest, they have a load of seminars across the Saturday, and then the Sunday just tends to be like a sort of fun day, wrapping up, doing your schmoozing, announcing Golden Demon. Saturday tends to be an announcement day. Sunday tends to be all the Golden Demon stuff. As far as I remember.
What was nice is that they have confirmed that Golden Demon's returning next year.
Yes,
so looking forward to that.
The next Golden Demon is actually going to be in America at Adepticon, and then presumably after that it is probably going to be Warhammer Fest.
Fancy a trip to Chicago next March, perhaps?
Maybe. See, I'll definitely be going along to the next Warhammer Fest, because I think I might have a stab at entering Golden Demon myself. I think I might do it.
Do it.
Yeah. Get lots of time to prepare is the upside.
Yeah. So what were your particular highlight then? I'm guessing is 3rd edition Age of Sigmar.
Yeah. I would say. Do you know, as much as like the week was quite up and down in terms of quality, when all's said and done, I think that I actually have quite a lot to be excited about with this Warhammer Fest.
Yeah.
Kragnos looks awesome. Looking forward to that book and reading more of the story of the Mortal Realms. The Deepkin Warband looked great. If I end up doing Delac for Necromunda, I'm going to have some cool, potentially elite troops to add to that warband. I had the first 40k reveal that got me properly excited with the Beast Snaggers and Age of Sigmar. So I think to be honest, when all's said and done, personally for me, this there's a lot of exciting stuff in store.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, my personal highlights were the Soulblight Gravelords, of course, and the Beast Snaggers are awesome.
Yeah.
I'm really looking forward to seeing what you do with them as well. So, nice to face off against some orcs.
Yeah, especially in an edition where close combat's such a big deal.
Yeah, looking forward to seeing how they play. So, I think on that note, I think that's all we've got time for. So, guys, thank you once, as always, for listening. And until next time, take care.
Bye. Bye.